Good evening, I'm Keaton Hall. It's been a whirlwind few years for a young Central Kentucky musician. Alex Miller was on a nationwide talent search television show a few years ago. He wasn't a finalist, but as Phil Pendleton explains, that appearance on American Idol has given him a taste of nationwide attention.
Alex Miller grew up in rural Kentucky on a Garrett County farm, but music has been part of his mission in life since the young age of 7.
And my granddaddy bought me my first little guitar, and I learned to pick it a little bit and started picking up stuff from other people I played with.
He made the top 40 on American Idol, but that appearance has pushed him into the big time. But he doesn't call it fame.
You know, I've had such a positive experience with, I guess you'd call it fame. I wouldn't call it fame. I just call it being known a little more than I was before. But
at just 19, his life has changed quite a bit in just the past few months.
I'm getting to play shows with Brooks and Dunn this year, also with Jamie Johnson and Diamond Rio. I'm doing some things with them as well. So some really, really cool folks to be opening up for, that's for sure. And
he recently played a Rupp Arena for the FFA convention and the Hard Rock Festival in Nashville.
Well, at 19, I feel like I'm 91. I feel like I've been around the world a few times, but in a lot of ways I've been around the United States quite a bit.
Feels like his career is taking flight, but he says he's found ways to stay grounded. His faith is a big part of that.
I always enjoy singing in churches. I've done that a long, long time. And you know what's a good thing about singing in church? When you sing in church, if you mess up, at least the people in there will pray for you.
Miller says his travels have taken him from Washington State to New York, a whole lot for a young man who looks even younger.
I have the baby face. It gives me away. And so I am pretty young, but, you know, been around a lot of experienced people, and it's kind of aged me pretty quick.
In Garrett County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Miller tells us that he hopes his success helps his hometown of Lancaster to also be more well-known. Singer Willie Nelson is set to play on the Ashland Riverfront in August. The Paramount Arts Center posted the announcement on their Facebook page. Willie Nelson and family live on the Ashland Riverfront is set for August 2nd, 2022. The fan club pre-sale begins tomorrow at noon. Public ticket sales will happen on Thursday, June 30th at noon. Nelson canceled a concert in Huntington in 2019 due to breathing issues.
Well, hopefully by the time Willie Nelson gets to play in Ashland, we're seeing the same weather that we're seeing today. It's been absolutely gorgeous mountain-wide today. Plenty of sunshine, blue skies, and just a few fair weather clouds. I-64 at Moorhead. Not too bad out there. Road you'll take if you're headed to Moorhead from the west. Buffalo Mountain camera from southern Perry County looking pretty nice. Low 80s outside right now. Just a few fair weather clouds continuing. Upper 70s to low 80s around the region tonight. Not too bad. In fact, if you can, get out and enjoy this evening because things are looking fantastic. Those dew points, they're in the 50s. That means that we've got not a ton of moisture there in the lowest levels of the atmosphere, so it feels pretty nice. Pinpoint Doppler, all quiet around the region, all of them on that slow clear air mode sweep, and we'll continue to watch the last of last night's showers and even this morning's showers push on out through the rest of Virginia and North Carolina. Nothing we have to worry about tonight. Keep that WYMT weather app handy. You open it up, you flick to the forecast, looking pretty nice. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s, eventually dropping into the 60s and even the 50s as we head through tonight. I'll have the very latest on when we could finally see some warm air returning. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Keaton?
Thanks, Evan. After a weekend marked by massive nationwide protests and even vandalism, law enforcement officials remain on high alert. The U.S. Supreme Court's historic decision to strike down its nearly 50-year-old precedent on abortion rights has already sparked new legal challenges as Democrats seize the issue ahead of this year's midterm elections, and Republicans say they don't think the reversal will bring people to the polls. Natalie Brand has more from Washington.
Protesters returned to the U.S. Supreme Court for a fourth straight day after the conservative majority sent the issue of abortion back to individual states.
Abortion rights! Abortion
More than a dozen have so-called trigger laws in place to restrict or ban abortion since Roe v. Wade was overturned, with several more states expected to follow suit in the coming weeks. Mississippi, the state at the heart of the case that led to the Supreme Court's ruling that struck down Roe, certified its trigger law Monday, banning nearly all abortions in 10 days.
The thing that's going to keep me up at night is the women who will lose their lives because they don't have access to care.
But in Louisiana, a civil district court judge has already temporarily blocked the state's trigger laws from taking effect after providers sued. As a new legal fight begins, Democratic leaders believe the issue of abortion will become key for upcoming midterm elections for the U.S. Congress and at the state level.
We recognize this is just the beginning.
I think this is likely to all be litigated out, dealt with in the various states around the country through the democratic process.
Meanwhile, leaders in blue states like New York are preparing for a possible influx of women from states with restrictions.
They've been preparing on how do we build the infrastructure so we're here for those women who come into the city for looking for services. 16
Democratic states and Washington, D.C. have laws to protect abortion rights. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
The White House and Democratic federal lawmakers have called for Congress to pass a national abortion rights law. Today, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell signaled that's unlikely, noting that neither side of the issue has been able to get the required 60 votes for approval in the U.S. Senate. Governor Andy Beshear once again touched on Kentucky's abortion restrictions at an event in Lexington today. He spoke at the SHAPE conference and gave an award honoring his late aunt. Beshear says the trigger law that was passed in 2019 is extremist and leaves out protections for victims of violent crimes. He says he hopes lawmakers will take another look at it.
We're hoping to at least see compassions for victims of violence that today have fewer options than they did last week. Surely, listen, people I get real passionate about this in different ways, but I think the vast majority of Kentuckians and of Americans say that if you are sexually assaulted, you ought to have options. And I certainly believe you do.
More than 40 years ago, a young Kentucky woman was charged with manslaughter for performing an abortion on herself before Roe v. Wade. A jury found her not guilty after a temporary insanity plea. The Supreme Court weighed in on another high-profile case just hours ago. School prayer. The High Court sided in favor of a Washington State high school football coach who got fired for praying at the 50-yard line after games. They say the coach's prayers amounted to private speech protected by the First Amendment. Justice Neil Gorsuch, a Trump appointee, wrote the opinion for the 6-3 majority. The U.S. Supreme Court has declined to revisit a landmark First Amendment decision. The 1964 ruling of New York Times versus Sullivan created a higher bar for public figures to claim libel and has been a bedrock of U.S. media law. Justice Clarence Thomas dissented from the Supreme Court's refusal to take up the case. He and Justice Neil Gorsuch had previously urged the justices to revisit the breadth of the decision. The ruling established the requirement that public figures show actual malice before they can succeed in a libel dispute against a newspaper or person. The case at hand was brought by a nonprofit Christian ministry. The group sought to sue the Southern Poverty Law Center for defamation for calling them a hate group. Kentucky State Police say that the deaths of 2 young boys found unresponsive in a backyard in a swimming pool was not the result of foul play. Louisville Metro Police said the drownings of the boys, who were cousins, appears to be a heartbreaking and terrible accident. Officers were called to a home in Louisville around 6:30 p.m. yesterday after the boys, both younger than 12 years old, were found in the pool. The boys were rushed to Norton Children's Hospital by EMS. Reports say that the attempts to save them were unsuccessful. The names of the boys have not been released by the Jefferson County Coroner's Office. With summertime in full swing, dozens of Fayette County students are learning an important skill: how to swim. The YMCA is handling the lessons, plus other potential life-saving information for kids. The CDC reports that drownings are the second leading cause of unintentional injury death for children ages 1 to 14. Largely because of this statistic, the YMCA of Central Kentucky hosts a program teaching kids how to be safe in and around the water.
Central Kentucky Swims is an effort that we started years ago to ensure all kids have access to water safety skills and also learn to swim in a safe environment.
In addition to their new water safety skills, these kids will also bring home a voucher so that they can come back to the Y and continue to receive free swim lessons. COVID-19 hospitalizations increased nationwide in America. The daily average of those being admitted to the hospital with COVID were nearly 4,500. Although there was a slight rise in COVID-19 hospitalizations last week, new cases overall are holding relatively steady in the U.S. Daily COVID-related deaths have also been hitting a plateau. UK healthcare will start giving COVID vaccines to children 5 and younger today. Both Moderna and Pfizer vaccines are available. Families can get the shots at the UK Pharmacist Care Clinic on Fountain Court. Children 17 and under can get vaccinated on weekdays from 1:30 to 5. You can make an appointment online. In honor of National Men's Health Month, doctors are pushing for men to asking about a genetic mutation that could put you at risk for certain cancers. While most people associate BRCA, commonly referred to as BRCA, with breast cancer, the gene can carry risks for both men and women. Having the gene mutation increases risk of certain cancers, including prostate, pancreas, and breast.
Hereditary cancer can be inherited from your mom or your dad, whether you're a male or a female. So, for example, if you're a male who's coming to see me, you can inherit cancer risk from your mother.
Researchers suggest that if there's cancer in your family, she says, talk to a doctor about whether genetic testing is right for you. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, looking for ways to boost a sagging credit score, take a look at a pair of products that could help.
Plus, a touch cool tonight, but some comfortable weather continues into tomorrow. Details next.